Let's talk about what is actually happening, because the law of attraction is the manager of rendezvous and of timing. That's the place to start. And so if you have defined something, Esther really likes that too, 1111, happens to her quite often. She won't look at her phone except when those numbers are lined up. And she knows that it's logical that they're going to come around a couple of times a day. But her impulse to look, she understands, is because she's tuned in with us and we know she likes it, and so we call her attention to it. It's timing. That's the law of attraction. It happens to you on things wanted and unwanted. They're rendezvous. You can define anything. You can say, this is something that I would like to see, and if it's something that you have no resistance about, you will see it many, many, many times in every day. In other words, that's just how the law of attraction works. You get to choose what you rendezvous with. And so the key to really fun, powerful, deliberate creating is to get to the point where the things that you really care about, you have no resistance about it, so those things you really care about can happen frequently. Sometimes the things that people think the most about, they have the most resistance about. And so that's why we call that sort of muddy. I really want it, but I really want it, but I really want it, but. But when it's clear, clean vibration, then you're going to rendezvous with it. And so just know that on that particular subject, you've got a clear, clean vibration. You get to assign all of that. People would hand books off to Esther and to Jerry and Esther all the time, and someone had given them a book, and in the foreword of the book was a really good story about abundance and how when you find something like a penny, take it as a sign of abundance and begin to notice it. And Jerry and Esther just read the chapter. Jerry read it to her. It was a preface to a book. Jerry read it to Esther while they were driving, and as soon as they got out of the car, there were pennies on the pavement. And Jerry said, well, that was fast, and so they started playing with it. Well, over the next few days, there were pennies everywhere. Now, why is this? Is this angels guiding them to pennies? Or is it something that captivated their attention, that was active in their vibration? They had no problem accepting the premise of the book. They understood about law of attraction even at that point. And so there were pennies everywhere, bright, shiny, in most cases, pennies. And Jerry is teasing Esther, you're running ahead and dropping them on the ground just to play with me. He knew she was not, but it was happening so much that it was weird. And so they got on an airplane one day. They were sitting up front at the bulkhead with a wall in front of them, no people ahead of them. And as the plane took off, Jerry said, you're not going to believe this, look down. And his sister looked at the floor. There were 2 pennies that had been on the floor that when the plane took off stood up on their edge. And Jerry said, I'm glad you're looking at this, because if I was trying to get you to believe that that had happened, the universe is capable of so much. And the more you like it and the more you expect it, the more you'll get it. Or the more you expect it, the more you'll get it. A whole lot of people are getting a whole lot of stuff they don't want, but they expect. And as far as angels go, your inner being is aware of you constantly. Everybody who has ever been in physical form, who has reemerged into non-physical, is aware and eager about what's going on. So you could even read a book about a sports figure or a musician, someone that you're interested in, and activate them in your vibration, and they will rendezvous with you in all kinds of ways. You think 1111 is fun. Wait until you see what can happen with all manner of evidence, things that you couldn't orchestrate if you tried, but the universe can. Show yourself what a good receiver you are. We're going to give you something. Esther was chewing on this with friends at dinner last night. It's something that's been hatching, and it came this morning as she was working on the book. So we're going to give it to you here. We haven't talked about this way before. You get the idea of what you think is how you feel, and how you feel is what you get. That's a logical basis, and it's a simple way to sort of start this conversation. So now, let's talk about a wish. And can you tell us, is a wish stronger than a hope, or is a hope stronger than a wish? Nitpicking, they're pretty close, but does a wish, I wish for that, I hope for that. Which feels stronger? Well, it could go either way, really. A wish is sort of a wondering thing. A hope is getting hold of it and having a little more skin in the game, so to speak. But a wish is lighter, and then a hope. Now, what about a dream? A wish, a hope, a dream. Can you feel that a dream has more momentum? I sort of wondered and wished, and then I sort of hoped, but then I started dreaming about it. And now a desire, an intent. Can you feel how it's softer, but it's becoming more and more? So we want you to feel with us as we just play this word game, the difference in the intensity of the vibration behind the words. Make sense to you? Now, so let's say you weren't very clear, but you got clear and you got clear and you got clear. In other words, you wished for a good life, you hoped for a good life. Then something sort of challenged that, and you began focusing more, and now you're really intending and desiring for a strong, healthy life. Can you feel how you've shored up some vibration? So that's the asking part. When you ask, it is given. But now, what else are you doing? Well, there are other people around you who influence you. So let's say that you have brought yourself through life experience to a strong desire intention. And let's say that it's strong within you. Maybe you've been talking with us and we are certain about your well-being. You're right there. And so you could say that with that intention that is strong within you, that there is a feeling of certainty about your well-being. Just feel that for a minute. Feel what a strong desire and certainty feels like. Can you feel it? Now let's back off of certainty a little bit as we're talking to the peanut gallery, parents and doctors and anybody else who's involved in making their decisions about me based upon what other people are doing. They mean well, they just don't help in that regard. And so now that I'm sort of listening, now my intent that felt sure now feels probable, maybe probable. But as I keep talking, well, maybe it's possible. And as I keep talking more, well, now it's unlikely. You get to decide where it is. You get to decide how strong the desire is, and you get to decide what you do with the desire once it's hatched within you. And that is what equals what everyone is living. There are people with desires that they've just listened to so many others and taking score of what is for so long and not focused on the laws of the universe and not been steady enough that they just don't believe. And so it's just unlikely, whether it's a wish or a hope or a dream or a desire, it's not likely that it's going to burst onto the manifested scene because it's muddy. Because the lazy thoughts, the picking up the thoughts of others, the watching statistics have nothing to do with you. It doesn't matter what anybody else has done with anything because they have had these combinations of maybe it's a strong desire, maybe it's a little fluffy wish. Do you know a little fluffy wish with no doubt will come true every time? Butterflies. If you've got just a little fluffy wish and you're not contradicting it with any doubtful thought, it's going to come about. That's why people can create stuff they don't care about. But when you really care about it, you're more likely to introduce clutter into the vibrational mix and at least hold off the evidence that could be there otherwise. Esther's best friend had a heart attack. Surprised them all. Didn't seem like him. But Esther feels his vitality more than any person she knows because his intention changed so powerfully. And he pays attention to his thoughts. He pays attention to all aspects of his life because it focused him into a place of strong decision, and Esther can feel it every time she's around him. She can't even find a little particle of worry about him. If she decided that she was going to be worried about him because she likes him and she'd like him to hang around, it couldn't even penetrate his atmosphere because he stands in such a strong place of knowing his well-being. And she often says to him, you're in better shape than any of us because you made a decision. The rest of us are just wondering how we're doing. We don't want you to have the attitude, I'm wondering what's next. We want you to say, next what I would like is, I would like more sense of stability in my life experience. I would like a career, job, work that is really satisfying, where I can feel myself expanding and growing. I'd like the people that I work with to be compatible with me, but not exactly the same as me. I'd like us to stimulate each other to new ideas. I'd like to be respected, and I'd like to be around other people who respect me. I'd like to feel really good in my body. I'd like to feel strong and vital. I'd like to feel that I've got a lot of capacity to do things. I'd like all the muscles and tendons of my body to be flexible and strong. I'd like to be able to pretty much do whatever I feel like doing. If I have an idea that I want to do it, I want to be able to kick the door open if I want to. I want the resources to be available to me when I want them to be available. Talk about what you want. Esther says, I like that car, I like that car, I like that car. I wish I had a blouse the color of that car. I wish I had that. Look around and define and praise the things that you like the most. It's interesting that you say, what's next? Sort of like, I'm not the one that gets to choose. There's someone more important than me and more learned than me and more worthy on my behalf who has decided in advance what's going to be allowed into my meager little experience. We're exaggerating strong just to make a point with you. You are the decider. You're the pointer. You're the pointer. The only thing you have to do is point and then not point in opposition. That's it. That's the sum and total of this entire seminar. Now you all want your money back, don't you? That's it. Just point and don't point in opposition. That's the work. So what are you pointing at? Sometimes you have to know what your opposition is before you know what you're pointing at, but don't you have a clearer idea than you are seeming to have? It's like this. You're really going to like this. There's 3 steps to deliberate creation. The first is sift and identify and then ask. And step 1 comes pretty easily. If you don't have enough food, you're asking for food. If you don't have enough air, you're asking for air. If you don't have enough flexibility, you're asking for flexibility. If you don't have enough money, you're asking for money. So step 1, life just evokes it from you. Step 2 is your inner being gets immediately on board with what you've asked for. Focuses unequivocally, no opposite thought offered by your inner being. Law of attraction is responding to both aspects of you, you and your inner being. So the law of attraction is responding to your inner being's story about what your inner being knows you want, and powerful things are gathering, cooperative things are gathering vibrationally around the ideas that your life caused you to ask for. Now, you might not be able to verbalize it, but your inner being has a clear idea of what you don't want and therefore what you do want, and so that's already established. Your work is, then, to find a way to be the best match you can be to what your inner being knows you want. You want to be sure-footed. You don't want to be just an echo to someone else. You want to be harmonic to somebody else, but you don't want to just be an echo to what they want. We are so happy that we had the conversation that we had earlier about, is it a wish? Is it a hope? Is it a dream? Is it a desire? And then, does it feel certain? Or does it feel like maybe it's a probability, pretty sure, or a possibility, it could go either way, or not likely. And so just pay attention to the good feeling things that are going to start showing up like immediately, and connect those dots. Say, I heard something that made me think something about that, and now this is evidence of something about that.